As the COVID-19 quarantine continues, there's absolutely no live poker to play, something that continues to be unfortunate for all of us who make our money doing that. It actually made me realize that, obviously I never proclaimed myself as the best player or the smartest player, but I've usually been the best regular player in my game. And one of my keys to success over the years has simply been the willingness to show up. The willingness to show up despite being in downswings, despite not feeling great about my game, just to grind it out, to put in the hours, essentially. And while I never play too many hours in one day or 1 week, or generally even 1 month, I would generally play a consistent amount of hours and I wouldn't take too many days off. And I was thinking about it, going back to when I started in 2008, the most time I ever probably took off of live poker was maybe 2 weeks, maybe even less than that. And now that we've had months without playing at all, it definitely makes you appreciate it more. And you hope that it will come back and resemble what it was. But honestly, we don't know. And we don't know how long it's going to be at this point. And the reasons for it are obviously the right reasons. So I'm not complaining about it, but it just is what it is. So during this quarantine period, I've decided to recap some of the more memorable moments from my first decade of playing. So this brings us to number 3 on my list of top 5 most memorable poker hands that I've played. And I'm sure I'll end up doing this list and then remembering a couple others that could have made it on. But number 3 is a really interesting one, and it came in early 2014, playing 3-5 no limit hold'em at the Atlantis. I believe it was on table 9 in the far corner of the room by the windows where those big brown shutters are, for those of you who have played over there. It was late at night, and the game got down to being 3-handed. I was sitting in seat 9, and we had the biggest VIP in the history of Reno poker, whose name I won't mention, but those of you who play in Reno know who I'm talking about. And he was sitting in seat 3 next to an anesthesiologist, nicest guy ever, who was sitting in seat 5. So 3-handed in a dream scenario for me. I was down a little bit. I had bought him for 1,000. I probably had about 900 in front of me when this hand goes down. So we're playing 3-handed. I'm on the button and I'm first to act. And I'm gonna wait a moment to reveal what I had. I raise it up to 25, and the big VIP who I'm talking about in the small blind makes the call, as he'll do with pretty much any 2 cards, and the anesthesiologist in the big blind comes along as well. So with 75 in, we go 3 ways to a flop of 10, 10, 7 with 2 hearts. And this is my favorite moment perhaps ever, at least one of them in a poker hand. And this guy, again, complete legend, nicest guy ever, extremely successful at what he does, and occasionally likes to represent a hand. So he sees this flop, 10, 10, 7. And this is back when cash played in the games, and he had a big stack of cash. He has both of us covered. And he says, look, I know you guys aren't going to believe this, but I played a 10-9 suited here. So he overbets the pot, simply putting a $100 bill into the pot. The doctor calls, and this was really unfortunate for him, having made this claim of playing a 10-9 suited, considering I had pocket 10s. So flopping quads here, I think it's pretty clear in this spot that the small blind's never going to have much of a hand, no point in raising, obvious smooth call, right? No doubt. So I make the call. So at $375 in, the turn is a brick, the 3 of clubs. The small blind reaches into his stack of cash again and fires 200. At this point, I half expected the doctor to get out of the way, but he's not the kind of guy that wanted to bail on his draws too often. So he calls. The dream scenario simply continues for me. I elect to once again smooth call. So with $975 in the pot, we go to a river, which comes the 6 of hearts, bringing in front door hearts. Small blind doesn't think about it too long here, and he picks up 5 $100 bills. That's enough to put me all in and the doctor all in. We had about equal stacks, him and I, and he drops them in, a $500 bet. And the rest of it pretty much happens lightning fast. The doctor snap calls, And obviously, for the rest of my stack with the nuts, I snap call as well. To no one's surprise, the small blind had absolutely nothing in this spot and was bluffing the entire way. And the big blind showed King 8 of hearts, so he got there drawing dead with his rivered flush. All of the money going to me, a dream scenario in a pot of about $2,500. Not too often you're gonna get a pot like this, so you have to kind of savor them when they do happen. Pretty much all of the money on the table was pushed over to me and the game had broken and I was sitting there to stack up all the chips all by myself. So certainly one of those glorious moments that will probably never happen again, and that's primarily due not just to the run out of the hand, but due to the lineup I was playing in against an absolute dream scenario against two of the nicest recreational players that have the most money to gamble that you're ever going to be able to play with, and it just was all a perfect storm for me. So that will be number 3 on my list of top 5 most memorable hands of all time. All right, just got done anchoring the 6:30 show here on a Saturday at Colo 8. And I kind of made a point a lot of vlogs ago to not really do much of this in terms of incorporating my actual job into it. I know poker's what you guys are here to see, and that's what I try to give you the majority of the time, but let's be honest, haven't had much poker to talk about lately. And I have had plenty of work here at Colo. It's a good time to have a job that is an essential job. Some might debate that, but it is the biggest news story in history and people need to know what's going on. There is no question it is an essential job. But that said, let's give you a little bit of a look around here, what it's like when you anchor, particularly during this time, with no one else in the studio with you as the anchor. Usually, that's not the case. Over here is the weather center, and all of our weather people have been working from home. As I pan across, you can see the different cameras and the teleprompters. Over there, of course, the green screen, that's where the main weather hits are done. And over here is what they call the sports monitor, but it's not just used for the sports guys, it's also used for reporters doing in-studio hits. And there's obviously no sports going on during the pandemic and no in-studio reporter hits going on during the pandemic. Over here, I have the laptop that sits on the anchor desk, and when you anchor 11 o'clock shows on Saturday nights and you're producing your own shows, it becomes extremely essential to have that computer there because you're making changes on the fly and constantly going over stuff while you're anchoring. Right here, of course, teleprompter control. Got to roll your own prompter in a market the size of Reno. So that's how it works there. You roll this knob here, and of course the prompter over there will scroll through. So, not something that I make a point to do much of, but that's the studio here at Colo 8 News now. This is now my 5th year here at Colo and my 3rd year as the weekend anchor. So, that's been cool. Now, let's go into the newsroom here as I walk through this dark dungeon of a studio. So, a couple of my associates here at Colo expressed interest of being on this vlog, and the idea was thrown out there of kind of making me the butt of the joke. So, these two crazies, Jordan, who you've already met, Riles, who you've now met, are apparently working on this video for the next vlog. How's it coming?
Good. It's funny. We just roast Ben.
Roasting of Ben. If you've ever wanted a tease for the next vlog, that's it.